All right, what is going on? What is going on? Happy Xenos Detachment Point Day. And for the 100 of you that are already freaking here, god dang, really appreciate y'all hanging out and having a good time. And if you're working from home, if you're watching this at work right now, I seriously appreciate your support. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We are going to be doing a deep dive into all things Xenos today because, as many of you know, I play Necrons as my main, but Tyranids is going to be my second main going into 11th edition. So very excited to be talking about those dispositions later today as well. You guys are going to be stuck with me for a good chunk of time today, at least a few hours, because there is going to be a lot that we have to go over today. It's basically, I don't want to say like we're getting a new codex today, but it does kind of feel like we're getting a new codex today. So I wanted to put up a little bit of an agenda as far as what to expect from this live stream today. So obviously, first up, once they drop the article here, sometime around 8 o'clock, we're going to be going over the dispositions live that is for Necrons and specifically Tyranids. We could touch on Orcs and, Tau, some of those other Xenos factions, Votan later maybe. But, I'm assuming you guys are here for the Necrons, for the Tyranids. Maybe you got that pesky guy at your game store that's always playing Necrons. And you're like, man, I really need to figure out how to beat this guy. Well, today we're going to be talking about all the combos, what it means, all that good stuff. So, and then towards the end, I do want to discuss new meta combos for 11th and what I feel is probably going to be our strongest play pattern as Necrons. I know we don't have the actual official dispositions yet of what they're linked to, which is kind of a bummer, but or maybe they might leak it today. Who knows? Because I think there was some sort of article that maybe leaked some of the Space Marine ones. So, but I'm assuming they're not going to give us the dispositions today, and we're probably going to have to wait until next week when they drop the points. So, but this is a huge step in the right direction to really start playing 11th edition, which is going to be great. As always in these live streams, guys, ladies, gals, dudes, of course, throughout, we're going to have polls going. Drop your questions in the chat. Come hang out. Have a good time. For the 140 of you that are in here, what is going on? Seriously, appreciate it. So let me flip over to the chat here. Yo, glad to be being here. Elliot Sanders, man, one of the OGs. All right. Oh boy, I can't wait for the endless bitching about busted Necrons. Yo, Necrons, honestly, hey man, they might break the internet today, all right? I will say, I mean, we're going to be going over, I want to design lists on stream. We're going to be talking about play patterns. We're like full transparency, like leaving everything out on the table. It's going to be great. Hello from Belgium. Yo, what's up? Welcome. I gotta say, I love how much of a international game 40K is. Especially even like on some of the coaching calls and stuff, just being able to talk with other people in other countries is so much fun. It's a great time. I'm that pesky guy playing Crons. Hey, somebody's got to do it. I mean, I feel like, if you play Necrons, I mean, you're kind of the guy that's like one of the most hated factions, I feel like. You think Catan are going to get hit 400 points. It's possible. I think Catan, honestly, I mean, they gotta go up at least 30. All right. They gotta go up at least 30. Okay. Please buff Warriors and do not nerf Catan. We'll see. Who knows? I mean, for all we know, they might even change the data sheet. Okay? Like right now, guys, we got to be a little nervous because anything is on the table. Okay? They could literally do anything. Okay? I know I've heard like Locust Destroyers might go to Legends. Like that would be crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. That would make me big sad. But they do need to update that model, I will say. Once again, F5 spamming. Congrats from Germany. Yo, what's up, man? Hey, glad you're hanging out. Glad you're here. Definitely need to check out some other cities in Germany. I went and visited some really good friends of mine a couple years ago with my girlfriend, and we went out to Hamburg. Yeah, Hamburg, Germany. Beautiful area out there. So would love to go back. Yeah, we're just a fair army, you know. Nameless JT. I know who that is, man. I know who that is. No one hates you, buddy. Hey, I tell you what, Mr. Warwick, that those Blood Angels, they be looking good. They be looking good. All right, I'm just saying. Please give us Lich Guard a reason to exist again. Yo, Lich Guard, dude, they exist. They exist right now. Have you seen my most recent Cursed Legion list? Like, I'm going to be at Tacoma this year. If any of you guys are going to the Tacoma Open next month, first super major of 11th edition for me. One of the first ones probably in the world, honestly, because it's like a month after. So if you guys are going to be at the Tacoma Open this year, it's live. Oh, man, it's live. Okay. All right, live reaction, baby. Here we go. Together, here we go. Faction packs are live. Let's see. Oh, guys, we're cooking. We are cooking. All right, let's do this, baby. Oh, man, I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm going to turn off the music so we have the undivided attention. All right, attention, if I could talk. All right, look, I love orcs, but y'all are here for the orcs, and, hey, Eldari, that's fine. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, we'll do Tyranids here in a second. Gene Storecoats, Necrons. Okay, here we go. New Hand of the Dynasty 111. Okay. Annihilation Legion 2. Oh, I thought for a second Awakened Dynasty was 2. I was like, whoa. Okay. Awakened Dynasty 3. Expected that. Canoptic Court is also 3. Very interesting. Did not have that on my bingo card, guys. I'm going to be honest. I will say that maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing because I haven't seen the enhancements yet, the added enhancements for our detachments, our new detachments, our 1DP detachments. So Canoptic Court at 3. Oh, they did release. Oh my gosh, I didn't even pay attention, guys. They gave us the dispositions. Oh, all right. There we go. Gosh darn it, man. I was just like, see, I'm too excited. I wasn't even paying attention. Okay. So Awakened Dynasty taking hold 3DP. Completely expected that. That is interesting. Okay, Pharaon's Armory is priority assets. Interesting. Okay, I would say as of right now, priority assets is like the one I'm least excited about as far as dispositions. I think the other 4 have all really strong play in different ways, so we'll have to see. Cursed Legion is Purge the Foe, and that is 2 detachment points. So as of right now, what you've seen on the channel with Cursed Legion and Pharaon's Army, that is a legal combination to play Purge the Foe. I think that is very strong right now. Okay? I'm just going to go and say it. All right? Hyper Crib Legion is Reconnaissance. Beeson's Phalanx at 2 is Disruption. Pantheon of Woe is 2. Expected that. And Star Shatter priority assets is 3 detachment points. Now, this, I did have a little inkling of this. Couldn't say anything. But I did hear some rumblings about this. Okay? This is not good for Star Shatter. Okay? So before I even open up the documents, okay, seeing what we have here, I think the front runners right now, I think Awakened Dynasty, I hate to say it, guys, I hate to say it, but I think Awakened Dynasty is still going to be our strongest way to go based on some of the games that I've played. I have about 4 or 5 games now of 11th edition. Now, granted, it's not the official rules, but getting a good idea of what everything looks like. Also, to the 180 of you that are in here, seriously, thank you for hanging out, checking out the content. If this is your first time seeing PNW 40K. Really appreciate you being here. If this is your first time like getting into 11th edition and you're as hyped as I am, welcome. This community is amazing, and just really glad you guys are here and really appreciate the support. All right, so I think initial read on this is, yeah, I mean, the Cursed Legion I think is legit good. Okay, now let's see what they change as far as the let me look at Tyranids really quick. Let me just look, because I'm a little selfish. Okay, these are all 1. Did they make Subterranean 3? Ooh, they made Subterranean 3 detachment points. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, but Vanguard Onslaught is 2. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. I know a lot of you guys are here for the for the Necron stuff, but we are going to talk about Tyranids as well, because that is another army I'm going to be playing in 11th edition. Okay. All right, here we go. So download now. So if you're just joining in, if you're fairly new to 40K or 11th edition, how this works, quarterly, usually they come out with these like big updates. And this is where all the updates live. So whatever army that you play, you'd go on the Warhammer community, go into the download section. I imagine it's going to be more organized as the edition progresses. And we're going to pick on Necrons here, okay? Because we're going to go over that first. So this is essentially going to give us all of the information as far as the updates with Necrons and what this means for our army going into 11th edition, which is why it kind of feels like we have a new codex. Okay, so Hand of the Dynasty. This is one of the new 1-point detachments, and oh my gosh, there is 3 strats with this 1-point detachment. Okay, here we go. So hypermobility protocols, we already know about that. So Immortal Necron warrior units have assault, and they're eligible to start an action after they do an advance. They can't shoot, but they can advance and do an action. So this is definitely very good. Okay, here we go. So the new enhancement in Living Sentinels, Necron warrior units only. This unit has Scout 5. Scout 5, very interesting. Okay, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think warriors as a play style, I think I don't know if they really need scout. I'm going to be completely honest, guys. I think the second enhancement for this, the Tools of Dominion, is a lot more enticing than the Scout 5 and the Warriors. Mainly because with Warriors, they're like, they can do damage, but they're kind of more of a durability piece. And I feel like we already have better options with stuff going to the mid board, like Race, like Xeris, like Catan, that I don't know if you really need this as an enhancement, okay? But I could be wrong, but initial read, that doesn't really excite me that much, but maybe there's something I'm not thinking of, okay? Dominance protocols, command phase. 1 friendly Immortals unit. Your unit has +1 OC until the end of the turn. Oh my. Oh my. Okay. This is good. Okay. Let's talk about this one for a second here. This is why you're here. So we're going to break this down to granular level. We're not reading this verbatim. What does this mean in the actual game? Okay. So right now, if you guys watch my Take and Hold out the gate, I think is going to be one of Necron's strongest dispositions. It's the one that we're going to play probably the best, just because reanimation is going to be very strong in 11th edition. I'm going to tell you right now, reanimation and bringing back models in 11th edition is going to be extremely powerful, and we have access to it army-wide, okay? Now, why is it so powerful? Check out this strat. So, as of right now, 5 Immortals are 70 points. They're battle line, so they are 2 OC, okay? So, what I could do in this attachment, if I combine it with Cursed Legion, or maybe you take one of the other 1-point detachments, is the fact that now my Immortal Brick is 3 OC, and it creates this awkward situation where you can move Immortals up onto the center, and they're T5, 3 up save. They're going to be potentially hidden because they're not going to shoot, and they are going to be potentially 3 OC. So it creates this awkward situation for your opponent because they're like, we've all been there. You're staring at that unit of 5, and you're like, like, I know I'm going to have to put more output into these stupid things that I'm going to need. And how many times have we been shooting a bunch of stuff, and there's that one guy left? There's that one freaking commando left in the center. There's that one striking scorpion. There's that one immortal. And you were banking on killing the unit, or you were banking on like, I'm just going to put 2 OC on here and deny it. And then all of a sudden it's like, sorry, man, I'm just going to reanimate him back, plus 1 OC. Boom, I all of a sudden have 12 OC on this point. Boom, I flip the primary, and I get extra points on take and hold. This is a very good strat. Very good strat. Will of the Conqueror, end of your movement phase, like one objective your unit is controlling, that objective is secured. So secured is the new keyword for sticky. Sticky is a slang term that was used in 10th edition. Maybe it was used also in 9th edition as well, where essentially I have control over that objective until my opponent puts OC on that objective and controls it at the end of the phase. It might be, I believe, level of control is still checked at the end of every phase. Drop it in the chat below. I don't believe it's the end of a turn. I believe it's still the end of the phase. So that is also a very strong strat. Okay, and then the last one is essentially nano saturation. Your immortal Necron unit, your opponent's shooting phase, they get snapped shooting. So essentially, they get to Overwatch twice. This is the least strong strat out of the 3, but the first 2 are very strong, very, very strong. And the ability just to advance up a unit of 5 immortals, they can action and do the thing. It is great. I will also point out as well that unlike in 10th edition, in 11th edition, a lot of the terrain areas or the terrain objectives are less than 8 inches outside of your deployment zone. The reason why this is so good is because a lot of Necron's units are relatively slow. They move 5 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches. Outside of race, they're moving 10 inches. So the reason I bring this up is it's a lot more reliable to have your immortals, like if you're running a unit of 5, behind a wall in your deployment zone, being able to get that low advance roll like in a 1 or a 2, still being able to get on a midfield objective, do an action, be annoying for your opponent, and force an immediate response turn 1. That's what you want. So this is a great kit for us looking at the first one, okay? For the 230 of you that are in here, seriously, thank you so much for hanging out. Going over Necrons, we're going over all the new stuff today. Seriously, appreciate your support. Is this your first time on the channel? Welcome. Glad you're hanging out and glad you're here. Giving you all my live reactions, initial takes on Necrons, and then we'll move over to Tyranids. And then I want to go through, build some lists live, talk about combos, what it's going to mean for the meta. So again, really appreciate y'all being here. Feel free to drop some stuff in the chat, and let's keep going here, okay? Next one, Sky Shroud Spearhead. So this is the one that I was personally least excited about, but let's see if they can prove me wrong here. So this is friendly Tomb Blade units have Deep Strike. Tomb Blades, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I am very less excited about them going into 11th edition, mainly for the fact that they were really good at denying our opponents points in terms of like move blocking, getting a cheap unit on objective. But I don't want to say move blocking is dead in 11th edition, but it's like significantly more difficult. And the fact that as of right now, rules is written, they're not able to drop in and then fire and fade is also a big bummer. So they don't really get a lot of value. I mean, having Deep Strike on this unit is nice, but they're just not very durable. And you guys are going to notice, like, on a lot of these boards, after you step like 5 inches, 8 inches outside of your deployment zone, it's not really safe. It's not really safe anywhere. So it's fine, but I think so when a friendly Tomb Blade unit selected shoot, you made an ingress administrator range has +1 hit. So what's tough about this is it really only targets Tomb Blades, and I'm personally not very high on Tomb Blades going into 11th edition right now. I think the way the rule set is, guys, I hate to say it, I'm just not very excited about them. I'm going to be honest, okay? But enhancement. Tomb Blade units only. When this unit activates, its reanimation protocols +1 of the roll. So +1 of the roll. Okay, yeah, that, like, okay, so kind of irrelevant, because a lot of times, like with Tomb Blades, when somebody's activating into a unit of Tomb Blades, they're killing them. Like, a lot of times I would never run the stealth. I don't know what your guys' experience was with Tomb Blades, but a lot of times I just would not run the stealth on the Tomb Blades because they're just going to die in the activation anyway. Like, it was very rare that you're going to scam your opponent on the stealth. And it's like, I'd rather just have ignore cover and just potentially have them do more damage, okay? The one that's more interesting is the Deepening Madness. This unit's range attacks have assault, so any destroyer cult mounted. So this is like your Locust Destroyers, your Locust Heavy Destroyers, right? They get assault. And I think this is also more interesting now that we have the context that Star Shatter Arsenal is 3 detachment points. So if you are somebody that wants to run those Heavy Destroyers and give them advance and shoot, but you also want to pair it with something else like Curse Legion, you can do that now because Star Shatter is going to be 3 detachment points, which is kind of a bummer, but I did expect that for the most part. Okay, let's look at our new enhancements here. So your movement phase, when a friendly Necron mounted unit is selected to make a fallback move, that move does not prevent your unit from being eligible to shoot. So for 1 CP, you have fall back and shoot. And this is during the movement phase. Any time during the movement phase. Okay, so yeah, that's good. 1 CP, fall back and shoot. Solid strat. Not bad, not great, just a good strat. Swift as death. Your opponent's movement phase, when an enemy unit ends a move within 8 inches of a friendly unengaged Necron mounted unit, target that Necron mounted unit. Your unit makes a normal move of up to D3+3. This is very good. So we get basically a 4 to 6 inch react move if we have an enemy unit that moves within 8 inches. This is very similar. If you guys saw the preview for the Tyranid Lictor detachment, is very strong. I will say, though, the reason why it makes it so strong is because in Vanguard, they have access to a 6-inch lone op, which is basically makes them uninteractable outside of charging. Now, granted, Necrons, we don't have access to this, but this isn't bad. I think that is a good strat. So those are 2 really good strats, in addition to what was already previewed, which is the last one. Evasive protocols. Your opponent's shooting phase when enemy unit targets a friendly Necron mounted unit. Range attacks to target unit with a strength greater than your unit's toughness are -1 to wound. So this is very strong, just because Locust Destroyers are toughness 6, which is a huge breakpoint in the game, just because there's, a lot of strength 4, a lot of strength 5, which is wounding on 5s. If you're strength 10, strength 11, which I think we're going to see a lot more in the meta, like a lot more auto cannons, just because low AP, high volume is suddenly back on the board because ignore cover doesn't reduce the AP anymore. So I think it's interesting. This is the one that I'm least excited about. I'm sure somebody out in the Necron world is going to prove me wrong, but at face value, it's kind of a bummer that Tomb Blades, the main detachment rule is just targeting Tomb Blades and not like, it's not targeting Destroyer Cult mounted. So, it is what it, like, if it was Destroyer Cult mounted and Tomb Blades have Deep Strike, I think we're having an entirely different conversation. But because this just targets Tomb Blades, I'm not as excited about this one. But I will say all of the strats in this 1-point detachment are good. Like, you have a fallback and shoot. You have a react move, which is 4 to 6 inches now. I love that they're doing this on all of the react moves now. Instead of, because in 10th edition, a lot of them were 1 to 6 inches. So I love the reliability of it's 4 to 6 inches. So it makes it a lot easier if you want to like tuck behind a footprint. It's a lot easier to set up because it's more reliable, right? There's less variance. Okay, let's go to the third one. Okay. The Pharaoh's Armory. Boy, guys, if you have not played this detachment yet, it is a blast. And I think legit it is good. Okay, I do not think it is a meme, but let's see what we got here because we have 2 more shots. It's hard for me not to get ahead of myself. I'm trying to give you a live reaction, okay? So empowered engines. So Necron, Titanic Fly, Monolith, Tesseract Volt, and what is it? The Obelisk, okay? Plus 6-inch move. So why this is so powerful is Titanic now can move, shoot, and action. Okay? Move, shoot, and action. Extremely powerful. So now it's like my Monolith from my deployment zone can move from my deployment zone to the central objective, tow in, do cleanse, shoot everything within 12 inches at +1 to hit, and it's OC8, and I can, if I do an action, I don't want to misspeak, if I do an action, I can't charge. But you can move in, do an action, or move in and just charge something and tank shock. And for some reason, the Monolith actually has good melee. It's like 6 attacks, hitting on 2s. It's like weirdly good. I don't know. It's good. Okay, so the first enhancement, as we know, Necron models, only when this unit selected to shoot, if this unit was set up using a Monolith Eternity Gate, they're going to get lethal hits or sustain. So this is mainly calling out your warriors and your immortals. You can't combine this with Hypercrypt, so you're not really going to see Scorpex coming out and charging with this. That would actually be absolutely bonkers if you could combine this with Hypercrypt. Like, honestly, it would be like if you could combine this with Hypercrypt, it'd be like, no question. All right, we're cooking. Let's go. But so this is going to be mainly your Immortals and your Necrons. Extremely strong combo there. But let's look at Mortality Shroud, okay? Obelisk unit only, okay? And your opponent's Battle Shock step, if an enemy unit within 8 inches of this unit is below starting strength, that enemy unit makes a Battle Shock roll. Okay. This is fine. I think the problem with the Obelisk right now is it is durable, but I think the issue is the fact that the meta is going to be relatively lethal, and you're already sinking like 300, 350 points into something that doesn't really do any damage. I mean, it has like high volume, and it has like the blip of like reducing the movement fate or the movement characteristics of units. And this isn't a Battle Shock at -1 either. It's just a Battle Shock roll. It's not bad, but running obelisks in this detachment doesn't particularly excite me. It's mainly the Monolith. The Monolith is by far the best for this, okay? So this is fine. If this was like on the Monolith, this would be way cooler, but that's probably maybe why they didn't do it. So this is fine. This is fine. Subsurface Quantum Weave. Okay, so this is the one that we was already previewed. So essentially a Necron Titanic Fly unit. You're giving it -1 AP. And this is, I believe, like Armor Contempt. So your opponent's shooting phase, I'll just make sure he shoots. The opponent's shooting phase of the fight phase, that Necron Titanic Fly unit, attacks that target your unit have -1 AP until that enemy, attacks that target. Oh, until that enemy unit has attacked. Yeah, okay. So this is just going to be the one unit. So like Armor Contempt, right? So that's what that's going to look like there. Okay. Now the cause. Okay, so particle pulse. Start of your shooting phase. One friendly Necron Titanic fly. Select one visible enemy unit within 12 inches of that unit. That enemy unit has a +3 detection range. So that is very interesting. So you could target units within 18 inches. I don't know if that's necessarily going to come up all too much, just because of the fact that you're already going to be like in your opponent's face anyway because you move so fast. So I feel like it's kind of a mute point on that one. That one's fine. It's fine. And your shooting phase, when a friendly obelisk or tesseract volt, so this is not calling out the monolith. Your unit's Tesla sphere weapons have +1 AP. Very interesting. I mean, I'm sure as you guys know that Tesseract Vault has a very high volume of fire at strength 7. So strength 7 shots at AP1 get a lot more interesting. I just don't know if you want to run the Tesseract Vault and the monolith. That is the question. I think you almost run one or the other, but this is a very good strat for the Tesseract Vault. Very interesting. So all in all, seems fine. These are all good. This whole page right here is solid. So this is really cool. This is a solid like Silver Tide type detachment. This all seems good. I think I am the most like hyped to see what somebody can do with this detachment. All right. Let's keep scrolling down because we are just getting started here. We are like barely through this document. Holy crap. We are like, geez, this document is 56 pages just for Necrons. Oh my gosh. Okay. Star Shatter Arsenal. I don't know if they changed anything in here, right? Like, how are we gonna Overlord or Command Barge? Reroll 1 to hit, 1 to wound. And let's see. Are they gonna highlight? Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they gonna highlight the stuff in red that's changed? Let me see here. So your shooting phase of the fight phase, 2 CP. Okay, okay, so I can keep scrolling. Okay. All right, thanks guys. Also for the 250 of you that are in here, seriously appreciate you hanging out and watching. Well, the one thing I did want to change or see, the changes are not highlighted. But they're all at the end. All right, let me actually see some here. Curse Legion, because the one thing I did want to see was where is Hypercrypt? Oh, Curse Legion actually wanted to see, just to make sure. The strats, the -1 to hit strat. Yeah, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So, guys, the reason why I'm so hyped up on Curse Legion right now is the combination of how cover works with -1 to hit. So this stratagem is crazy strong now in 11th edition because the fact that the cover change is -1 to your ballistic skill. And then this would stack as well because ballistic skill and hit modifiers are 2 separate ones. So you essentially can make Lich Guard or Race -2 to hit. And then this is also in the fight phase, either fight phase. Super, super strong strat. Okay. All right, let me go down to the bottom. I don't want to do this out. Okay, I guess we're just going to do this first. So, Canoptic, macro size here, depending on their points, I'm not super high on these guys because they're so squishy. Like, I still think they're just not going to see a lot of play in 11th edition. So, we'll move on from these guys, okay? The Tomb Crawlers definitely are going to see play, especially with their ability. So at the start of they can ignore essentially the ballistic skill modifier to the hit and the wound roll. So this will really come up when you're in your shooting phase. But everything else I think seems the same. I feel bad because I might have to look at this at a more granular level because I don't know if they did they just copy and paste these data sheets in here or what? It looks like this is all the same. Oh, is this where they're going to put like, okay, leader. Okay, leader. So Geomancer is leader. Okay, Nightbringer. Okay, so this looks like it's all the same. The one thing I was worried about is, are they going to change the data sheet? So it looks like not. Still moves 10, 3 up, 4 up, 16 wounds, 4 OC, still has a Feeling Span, Deep Strike, has the mortar wounds on a 4 up, and still keeps Necrodermis, which is -1 damage to the attack. So if you're wondering if Catan are going to be extremely good in 11th edition, like I'm telling you right now, guys, even if each Catan goes up 30 points, I don't even think about it, and I'm bringing like 1 or 2 because they fundamentally are just like they benefit from every rule change. They can go through walls for -2 movement. They are -1 to hit if they are just obscuring, right? So now all of a sudden, like Nightbringer, Void Dragon, -1 to hit, right? If they're obscured. It's amazing. And they can just toe into a footprint and use their gun. All amazing buffs for Catan, okay? Void Dragon looks like it's similar. One thing I really do want to point out on the Void Dragon is the fact that AP1. I would not be surprised potentially if the Void Dragon ends up being more points than the Nightbringer just because his gun got a lot better. Because he has both of these, and the AP1 damage 2 is just such a reliable gun now. Great into power armor, just great into a lot of things we're going to see, I think, in the meta. Okay, everything else looks like it's the same here so far. Everything 1 damage. She has the same ability. Core abilities. He's not a leader, so he doesn't attach to anything. Looks like this is probably all the same. Okay, Necron rule updates. Okay. This section presents updates and clarification in your faction rules designed to improve the game experience for all players. Changes applied after the first iteration of this faction pack will be highlighted in red. Okay. So, updates. Annihilation Legion Detachment. Add the following. Each time a Destroyer Cult unit from your army makes a range attack that targets the closest eligible target, add 1 to the armor penetration of that attack. Okay, these have all been changed. It's so funny because they're like, change applied after the first of this faction pack will be highlighted in red. But these are also changes right here. So why are these like not highlighted in red? Okay. Reactive subroutines target stratagem changed 9 to 8. Okay. That is expected. So across the board, they're changing everything to 8 inches now instead of 9. The reason for this is when somebody drops in on an ingress move, it would just automatically trigger the react move. So this is why this is changing. So it doesn't automatically trigger that react move. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by cryptic or coptic models in your unit have the devastating. Wait, until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by Cryptek. Wait, did they change this back? Wait, hold on. Wait. Canoptic Court. Did they like retroactively change back that strat? Star Shatter. Where is Canoptic Court? Cryptic Conclave. First Legion. Pantheon. Okay, maybe I'll have to look at that later. Why is it not in here? Or maybe it's towards the bottom. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by Cryptek or Canoptic models are going to have the devs. Oh, no. Okay. So Canoptic, yeah, because it was still Canoptic units. Okay. I believe I'm reading that right. Okay. Hypercrypt Legion, 1 Necron unit from an army, excluding monsters, that is arriving using the Deep Strike Hyperphase ability this phase. Hyperphasing detachment rule, battle size save change, incursion. Oh, wow. Dang, that's crazy. So Hypercrypt is going to be 1 less unit. Ooh. Yikes. That's not good. So now it's going down to 2 units instead of 3, and then if you have the enhancement, it's only going to be 3. Ugh. I don't know. I mean, did that need to happen? I don't exactly think so, but maybe with 11 edition they're maybe a little bit worried about it. Territorial Obeisance Phalanx, Territorial Obsession Stratagem. Change to 1 Lich Guard or Trarch unit from your army. Oh man, is that the Territorial Obsession? Hold on, let me pull. Can you guys see this? Okay, here, let me pull this up because I think we're gonna have to start looking. Or actually, let me go to the reference here. So if we go to Obeisance Phalanx, Territorial Obsession. Oh, okay. Okay, so Lich Guard could be +1 OC as well. Okay. All right, cool. Change movement OC to 0. Oh, okay. Annihilation Barge Catacomb Convergence, so Dominion. Oh, add frame. Oh, Monolith is a frame. That's interesting. I guess maybe because it so Triarch Stalker makes sense. Frame is essentially for a lot of models that don't have a base. But I think what they're referring to here is all of these models actually overhang their actual base. So if you look at like the Catacomb Command Barge, even the Monolith, even though it's like on 160 mil, I think it's the same size as the Defiler, because those little like corners overhang the base, they're just saying that it's frame now, which makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to reference rules, because basically it's a hole. So you're just gonna you're gonna like the stuff that goes over the base is gonna count now, essentially is what this is saying. Okay. Night Scythe, change M to 14-inch move, add hover, we saw this coming, and remove aircraft. So this could be an interesting combo now with the Night Scythe, maybe some combinations with the new Silvertide detachment, running some Night Scythe, dropping some Necron warriors out, and having a grand old time. So this is an interesting change. All right. Monolith Eternity Gate in your movement phase, excluding the first battle round, you can select 1 friendly Necron infantry unit that is either in strategic reserve or on the battlefield. That unit can make an ingress move and must be set up wholly within 6 inches of the unit and not engage with any units. That unit cannot make a charge move this turn. Okay, so essentially what they're changing here is it seems like they're really trying to limit first turn drops. So they added this clause in here to kind of clean things up where it's like you can't use that round 1, and most of the time you're never using it round 1 anyway, especially in Pharaon's army. So this is completely fine, but everything else looks like didn't really change. Night Scythe, Invasion Beam's ability. Add that that unit can embark within this transport. In a turn, it disembarked from this transport. Add deep strike. Okay, awesome. So the really cool thing about the Night Scythe is you can go over, drop guys out, and then pick them up at the end. So you can drop them in, shoot, pick them up, boom, right? So I don't know. This might be kind of cool. Night Scythes might be interesting, especially if they drop their points. I mean, combining with one of these detachments, I could see there being some legs there. Mortal's dropping out now with rapid fire and some of these strats. I think there could be something there. I think there could be something there. But we'll have to see. The Silent King, bringer of unity ability, change to relentless march while a friendly Necron uses. Okay, so that looks like. Oh, keywords change to all models. Models in that unit. Keyword change to all models. Vehicle, epic hero, triarch. Got it. Okay. No, it's basically the same. Ophidian destroyers are just changing the abilities, right, from where they can drop in. Okay. Chronomancer. The one thing we were worried about, guys. Geomancer, Oricon, Plasmancer, Psychomancer, Technomancer. Remove leader, add support. So, if you don't already know, if you do have a support character, they do have to be attached to a unit now. So that is going to be kind of a bummer for the Psychomancers. Because that was really the one unit that we were running solo to do battle shock tests, but now you kind of have to attach him to like a Mortals Warrior or something like that, which is it's fine, kind of a bummer, but we kind of saw it coming. So is what it is. All right. FAQs. Let's look at the FAQs. Can a crypto thrall that has used its vigor ability to fight on death later fight again if returned to the inn before that is? Okay, yes. I think these are all the same. Do I need to go through this FAQ or not? I don't think so. Okay. I don't think we need to go through this, okay? The Seraptic Heavy Construct, it lives on. It's not in Legends. Let's go. God, why could this not have been one of the freaking targets of the Pharaon's armory? Come on. Why couldn't it have just been Titanic? Why'd it have to be Titanic Fly? Come on. All right, so the Heavy Construct is good. Gauss Pylon, Warhammer Legends, Gauss Pylon, Warhammer Legends, Night Shroud, Legends. Okay. Gonna grab the Traveler, Emissor, Lord. Okay. Canoptic Tomb Crawlers. Oh, Canoptic Tomb Stalker. Got it. And I think these are all legends, right? Okay. Tesseract Art. All right, so Locust Destroyers are still good. So what's hilarious is classic G-Dub. Up here, they're like, yeah, we're going to highlight the changes in red, but they're not highlighted in red. So, I think this is all good. I don't know why. I'm curious of like why they have some data sheets in here and not all of them. Like, because I'm looking at these and I'm like, what exactly changed on these data sheets? I mean, other than, because it's funny because, yeah, because this isn't updated in here. So this, I guess, is like the master document, right? For the updates. Okay. All right. I think this is good so far. The outside of the hypercrypt being one less drop, because you're going to see here if we go up. So Curse Legion, Cryptic, Star Shatter. Oh wait, like why is hyper? Like I don't. What am I not getting here? Why are some of the detachments in here, and some are just not? Did you notice that the Tesseract Vulcan effect Catan with his 2-inch movement, they removed excluding monsters? Ooh, that is spicy. That is very spicy. I do like that again. That is really good. The Silent King is kind of an interesting one, I feel like, because he was so good with his indirect, and now I don't know. Like it's I'm not saying he's not good, but I have to kind of think about him a little bit more in 11th edition. So Codex ones, Pantheon of Woe. Okay, so these are just the non Codex ones. Got it. Okay. So Curse Legion, it doesn't look like changed at all. Your shooting phase, you get sus 1. Subtract 1 from the hit roll. Oh, did they change? Okay, here's the other one thing though. Okay, the one thing that's kind of interesting is like, why did they not change this strat for unnatural aggression? Because now it's like in 11th edition, you just have this as the heroic stratagem, basically. So I'm kind of surprised. Like if I go back down here, I don't think that was a change, right? Annihilation Legion, Canoptic Court. So this is a Codex Codex. Yeah, Hypercrypt Legion, Obeisance Phalanx. Yeah, they didn't touch it at all, which I'm kind of surprised about. Yeah, the Night Scythe is interesting. I don't know. I have to look at that more. I think if it gets like a points drop too is very interesting. And yeah, the Silent King, like somebody pointed out, this is changing, so it brings back in the Catan, which is interesting. So overall, I think these are great changes. If we go back to the article and look at the blanket here of what this looks like for us. So actually, let me go back. This is by far our strongest outside of Pharaoh's Army. I think this with these strats is very interesting, especially with Take and Hold and Immortals. I suspect that they're not going to stay at 70 points, would be my guess. So we will have to see what the points shake out to be. This enhancement, the Necron Warrior one, like, is fine, but it's like, yeah, I just don't see a world where you really need that. But yeah, I mean, being able to advance, action, sticky, +1 OC with just cheap bodies is going to be very good. I mean, honestly, even like a unit of warriors too, like a unit of 10 warriors if they stay at 90 points is also interesting, because it's very hard to deal with. Like 10 warriors that are T4, they're -1 to hit. You got to worry about them reanimating, where it's like, if I kill 2, or if I kill like down to 2 models, and then all of a sudden I reanimate back, and then I have like 10 OC on there. It's a very annoying puzzle for your opponent to solve. So that'll be very interesting to see how that shakes out. And for the 260 of you that are freaking in here, oh my gosh, seriously, appreciate your support, hanging out, talking all things Necrons. Going to be doing Tyranids here in a little bit. Let me put up a poll here so far. So we're going to end this poll. As expected, you guys guessed it right. So it is 3 detachment points. What Yeah, Hand of Dynasty with Hypercrypt. Yeah, I would agree. Hypercrypt, the biggest struggle that it has is the fact that in that early game, like holding primary is going to be very usually difficult. But now if you have the ability to just send out like 10 warriors and sticky it, and then the other thing is that there's some really nasty combos you could do with Hypercrypt and Hand of the Dynasty. If you still did want to run like a 20 blob, right? You could shove like a 20 blob with like a Chronomancer or something towards the center. That's going to be -2 to hit in shooting, -1 to hit in combat. And then if your opponent wants to interact with them, you could still, if you're running the Monolith and Hypercrypt, you just yoink them back. But then the objective is still sticky. Seems strong. Because, yeah, it's one Immortal or Necron unit. Necron Warrior unit. So Necron Warriors can also sticky as well. So, yeah, teleport or doing the 5 Immortals, just running on, sticky it, and then get off. And then you still have the teleport strike back. So, that could be really interesting. Very excited to see combos with that. Overall, I want to put up a poll right now. Overall, are you happy with the Necron updates? Necron updates. Let's see here. I need to do. Oh, here. Go there. Back. And then. Oh, there we go. Okay, here. Start a poll. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Sweet. Sweet. Okay. Are we happy with the change? Where are you getting that from? Yeah, Eternity Gate is just... yanking them back a bit won't work. Yeah, Eternity Gate is just Deep Strike now. What were you guys talking about with the Monolith change? Let me scroll down. The Monolith change. In your movement phase, yeah, excluding the first battle round, you can select one friendly Necron infantry unit that is either in strategic reserve or on the battlefield. Remove that unit from the battlefield and place it in strategic reserve. The unit can make an ingress move and must be set up wholly within 6 inches of this unit and not engaged with any enemy units. Yeah, I mean, that is true. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying as far as like the Monolith being able to like pick itself up bottom of 1 and then dropping down. I will say though, usually the packet, when we get the mission cards next week, they have like additional rules for like tournament play and stuff, and also when it comes to reserves. So we still have to see that if there's anything that's going to change. So we'll have to see. But this, yeah, sorry, not Pharaoh's Armory. The Hand of the Dynasty. Yeah, this interesting combos. I feel like this would synergize really well with, if we look back at the disposition points, there could be really some legs in Cursed Legion. I think Cursed Legion is going to see a lot of good combinations with 2 detachment points and Hypercrypt. Phalanx, I think, is kind of in an awkward spot right now just because it does really synergize with the -1 damage strat and wanting to bring the King and the Tesseract Vault. But I think the damage in 11th, the way that the game plays, I think is just going to be up a notch. And so bringing a lot of this big stuff around on the table, I think is not going to last as long as you maybe would have hoped, is my gut feeling on that. But, you know, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Hypercrypt with the Hand of the Dynasty could be very interesting, especially with running Night Slice around, right? So Night Slice, somebody correct me in the chat. How many points are Night Slice right now? If I pull them up, are they like 140? $140 points per, maybe? Because I'd have to go back and look at what the hover rule does now. But yeah, I mean, the ability for them to just move 14, drop guys out, and then pick them back up is really strong. The only problem is you are sinking like 140 points into something that's fast, but it really doesn't do any damage. It's just like pure utility. Well, I don't want to say it does any damage. I mean, it does have 6 attacks that are hitting on 3s, but a lot of times it's going to be hitting on 4s now because -1 to hit, right? So it's going to be a little bit less reliable, right? So 145. Okay. So I think right now combos I think to pay attention to. Awakened, I think is going to be very strong. Awakened, sadly, I think is going to be our front runner still. Sad to say. Sad to say, guys, but I think it is going to still be very, very strong going into 11th edition and the ability to bring back characters, okay? Hover just ignores the fly penalties. You fortune move wherever you want. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool. And then didn't they say if you like take to the skies or something, there's like not a movement penalty if they're like in hover or something like that? And then the other Star Shatter being priority assets, guys, with 3DP, not super exciting. Like Star Shatter should have been Purge. I'm at least glad that Cursed Legion is Purge because the Cursed Legion Pharaon's Armory is super fun, guys, and I really think it is a good combo. It is a good combo. I do want to write some lists with Reconnaissance because I've been practicing Reconnaissance and Disruption with Tyranids, and do not sleep on those dispositions. They are good. So if you are thinking that like, yeah, I'm just going to be playing Purge and taking a hold, I'm just going to be scoring a ton of these points, I look a little bit closer at Recon and in Disruption, because if you build your list right, you can stack a lot of points very easily as well with those if you build it right, which is very exciting. Okay. So if you like were pressuring me and you're like, all right, right now, top 3 combos, top 3 meta combos for 11th edition going into it. Okay. I would say it's going to be Awakened Dynasty. It's going to be Cursed Legion with Pharaon's Armory. And I think it could be Hypercrypt Legion with Hand of the Dynasty. I think those are the top 3 that jump out at me initially reading this and seeing what's going down. I love that they gave us the dispositions today. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see here. Overall, you happy? All right. So you guys are happy. I think for the Beast's Phalanx might work well. It's easier. The rules about all the monolith movement tricks sucks now. It's in these rules. I'm thinking Pharaon's Armory with Obeisance Phalanx might work well. Potentially. I think it could have some legs. I think just because of the lethality of the actual meta going into 11th and how the terrain works, I think it's not going to be as strong as we might think, even with the -1 damage. But we'll have to see. I will say, I wish with the Pharaon's Armory, I was really hoping there would be a little bit more juice with the strats, especially because we were getting 2 more with this. But it's not bad. I think the +1 AP with the Tesseract Volt is interesting. That's like the most interesting one out of the whole lot here of the additional information. This is kind of a mute point, I think. And like this is fine. But the thing is, like, you're already moving so fast anyway that you're probably already going to be within detection range because you're already moving 14 inches and then plus another 15 inches, right? That's what, 29 inches. So you're pretty much going to cover whatever you want anyway with this. Okay, so I think this is kind of not really something that's going to come up. It's mainly going to be this if you want to run the Tesseract Volt and the -1 AP. All right. Now, let's do, okay, chat, what are we feeling? Do we want to go over some of the Tyranid stuff? See what that looks like? And then we can go over and maybe design some lists. Murder Mind Chronomancer gives a locust blob infantry keyword. You can slingshot them with a molecule and sustain enhancement. Yep. It's really good. It's really good. Cursed Legion of Pharaons, man. It is a good and very fun combo. All right. You know what? I'm gonna swing over to Tyranids. All right, because I'm very excited about Tyranids, and I'm just excited about Tyranids. All right, so let's look at it. We have, okay, so the 3 new ones are all 1 DP. I know I got a little bit of a leak that I heard the Norn one is now super spicy with the additional changes. So I'm very excited to go over that. Okay, so all these are 1. Simulation Swarm 2, Crusher Stampede 2, Invasion Fleet 3, Take and Hold. That's expected. I'm kind of surprised Invasion Fleet is Take and Hold. I would have expected that to be like Purge the Foe, but maybe not. Maybe not. Subterranean Disruption. I was really hoping, guys, Subterranean would have been 2 detachment points. But you know, it's all right. It's all right that it's 3. It's all right that it's 3. All right. And then we got Vanguard Onslaught, which I think is super exciting at 2 detachment points. That's what I've been practicing a little bit. Vanguard combined with the Ambush Predators, the Lictor detachment, seems really strong. It does have some weaknesses, but it does seem very interesting. Okay. Let's go to the document again. Oh, man, this is so cool. We got so much new stuff today. It's crazy. All right. Faction Pack, Tyranids. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. All right. Ambush Predators. All right, so what do we got for this new Lictor detachment? So we have Mind Hunger. Friendly Death Leaper, Lictor, Neurolictor have Deep Strike, and they can reroll hit rolls of 1. Okay, very good. In your opponent's movement phase, when an enemy unit ends a move within 8 inches, they can make a D3+3 react move, which we already knew. And then, Von Ryan's Leapers, unit only. This unit has a -3-inch detection range. Very interesting. So if they go into a terrain footprint, now they're essentially going to have a 12-inch hidden instead of 15. This is very good. I like this. I like this a lot. I don't know if Von Ryan Leapers are still worth it. Because I think they still just get overshadowed by Neurolictors and Lictors, but I could be wrong. I mean, like 1 unit of 3 feels good, but I feel like there's still other units, like if you're running like a 5-man unit of Gene Stealers that does relatively the same amount of damage. So then you also don't need to spend this strat to give them the +1 strength and AP. So when a friendly Death Leaper, Lictor, Neurolictor, Von Ryan's Leaper is selected to fight, they get +1 strength and AP. So this is really good for Lictors and Neurolictors essentially could get +2 strength because they're within Synapse, right? So they would have Synapse and then plus this strat and the AP. So all of a sudden Neurolictors are actually hitting decently hard because now their melee is AP3 damage 1. Seems pretty good. And then, let's see. Okay, so here's another new one. 1 friendly Death Leaper, Lictor, Neurolictor. Select 1 visible enemy unit within 12 inches of your unit. That enemy unit has +6 detection range. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So this came up in my game, one of my games the other day, where unit going on to the central objective, they're hidden. Okay. So you can't see them outside of 15. So this synergizes really well if you're wanting to play. I'm going to tell you right now, the Vanguard Onslaught with this detachment is a blast. Like, it is super fun to play, basically because you have all these lictors that can go around. They can 6-inch loan op, they can move, and they're just harassing the center of the board and being very annoying. And then you throw in this stratagem where if they live going into the next turn, because this is the start of your shooting phase, you can blip that unit for 1 CP, and now all of a sudden I can see 21 inches through that footprint. So if you move in like a Maleceptor or an Exocrine or something else like that, it's going to be a lot, or even Zoanthrope, so they don't have to press as far forward to interact with that infantry unit that is on that terrain area, that footprint. So this is good. This does help. Not a bad strat. And then Scanner Iced. End of your opponent's fight phase. One friendly unengaged Death Flipper, Lictor, or Neurolictor. Place your unit in strategic reserve. This is fine. I feel like the only problem with this strat is the fact that this is going to combine with Vanguard, and Vanguard already has a strat to bring units up. You can bring 1 Tyranid unit up or 2 Vanguard Invader units up. So there's a little bit of overlap there as far as what detachment you're playing, because most of the time I feel like you're going to want to play this with Vanguard. So not as, on initial read, not as excited with this strat. But hey, you know, it could be proven wrong. Could be proven wrong, okay? Let's look at the Talons of the Norn Queen, because I heard there was some spicy stuff going around with this one before this was released. Okay, so basically with Norn Emissaries and Norn Assimilators, very cool, where essentially once per battle, per unit, so if you're running 3 Norns, you can do this 3 different times. In your command phase, you can use this ability. If you do, your unit can make a selection for a singular purpose ability. So because you're selecting the singular purpose ability again, you can not only select the damage one, but you could also just select another objective, which is extremely powerful. I was really hoping that Subterranean was going to be 2 detachment points, because I honestly really want to combine Subterranean with this Norn detachment, but it looks like that's not going to be possible. So kind of a bummer, but this is really good. Well, we already knew Norn Emissary unit. This unit's range attack have an anti-character 2 up. It's fine, but not really a big deal. But the one that looks like is true that I heard about was the Norn Assimilator gets a 4 up invul as an upgrade. Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. So very excited about that. It'll be interesting to see how many points that comes out to being, but Norn Assimilator back on the menu, baby, with that, okay? When any phase, when a friendly Norn Assimilator unit suffers a mortal wound, that unit has a feeling of pain against mortal wounds. It comes up maybe every once in a while, but not probably a super good strat. Just because if he's already on an objective and you have your singular purpose ability, you're still going to have a 5 of feel no pain, so there's kind of like overlap there a little bit, but it's fine. Lesser Prey. Fight phase. When a friendly Norn Assimilator, Norn Emissary unit is selected to fight, that Norn Assimilator, Norn Emissary unit has +2 strength. Wow. Okay. So, and this is fight phase. So this is either fight phase. And this also is going to synergize, I believe, with Synapse. So now Norns are going to be potentially +3 strength on their melee, which is very good. And this also solves a big problem with Tyranids, of the fact that like we just don't have a lot of stuff that's above that like strength 11 threshold. And so giving the ability for Norns to be strength 12, potentially strength 13, really solves a problem of having a more reliable resource that's able to, you know, get rid of things like land raiders and big knights, right? So this is very good strat. Very good strat. Tangle Strike rounds, 1 CP. Your shooting phase, when a friendly Norn Assimilator unit has shot, Select one enemy unit hit by those attacks. That enemy unit is tethered. Until the start of your next command phase, while a unit is tethered, that unit is -2 movement. Very good. I think it's very cool, especially if you want to run a Norn Assimilator. Not a bad strat. Not a bad strat at all. I think it's very cool. Very cool. Okay, solid here. Norn Assimilators back on the menu. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Okay, Warrior Bioform Onslaught. Leader Beast. Friendly Tyranid Warriors with ranged bioweapons and Tyranid Warrior with melee bioweapons. Let's see. They are battle line. Very cool. And then the Tyranid Warriors, Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip, Wing Tyranid Prime. They have a 5-up invul. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Winged Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip model. This model's melee attacks can reroll wounds roll, have +1 AP. So this is like crazy strong on the Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip. I mean, he already hits hard. He's going to be hitting like even harder, which is like this guy's already nuts. Like there's no way that guy stays at 75 points or no, sorry, he's 65 points right now. Yeah, it's something crazy. That there is no way that guy stays at 65 points going into the points uptake now, but he's so good. Ocular Adaptation. Wing Tyranid Prime model only. This unit's melee attacks have +1 to hit. Very good. So this is going to target the whole unit. Very good. Okay. That seems great. We love that. +1 to hit. This is not an upgrade, though. So it looks like it's only going to be on one unit, which is fine. But, you know, giving your Tyranid Warriors or something else like +1 to hit seems great. Your opponent's shooting phase of the fight phase. When an enemy unit targets a friendly Tyranid Warrior unit, attacks that target your unit with a strength greater than your unit's toughness have -1 to wounds. So this is the first one that we saw. So this solid strat, just -1 to your wound rolls. That seems great, especially with already the 5-up invul. Suddenly they become a lot more difficult to kill. They become a lot more annoying to actually shift on the table. Synaptic Micronodes, end of your movement phase. One friendly Tyranid Warrior unit. Select one objective your unit is controlling. That objective is secured. Very good. So we get sticky on this one. Very similar to the Necron Warrior strat or the detachment that we saw earlier. So solid. 1 CP sticky. Great. Your shooting phase, when a friendly Tyranid Warrior unit is selected to shoot, that Tyranid Warrior unit has ignore cover. So this is essentially saying you get +1 to hit. So 1 CP for +1 to hit, 1 CP for sticky, and then 1 CP for -1 to wound. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. I don't dislike it. This seems solid. All right. Subterranean Assault. This was a big thing I wanted to see. If you are going to make this detachment 3 detachment points, are you telling me that I have to charge 7 inches outside of tunnels? And it looks like that is still potentially the case. Rerolling hit walls of 1. Fully within 9 of your tunnel markers and more than 6 inches away from all enemy models. Okay, so maybe the change is the change is at the bottom. So let's scroll through here. Because I don't think, like in the Necron document, they changed anything in here, which is like kind of confusing. The Red Terror is in here. It's still at the end of the fight phase. Yeah, so this is all the same, it looks like. And this is still extra attacks, sus1, surge move, sus1, that looks all the good. Raveners, hyper adapted. I guess these are all the new data sheets that didn't come out in the codex here. Okay. So rule updates. Ooh, uh-oh. Shadows in the Warp update. Okay. If your army faction is Tyranids, once per battle in either player's command phase, if one or more units from your army, and this is a really thing important to point out, in either player's command phase. So because it says in the command phase and not beginning or end, it sounds like you can do this at any time. This is very important because basically you can have your opponent do their battle shock step and then trigger this. So you can get a little bit more information potentially. But let me read on. I might be speaking too soon. If one or more units from your army with this ability are on the battlefield, you can unleash the Shadows of Warp. When you do, each enemy unit on the battlefield must take a battle shock test. Each time an enemy unit takes such a battle shock test, if it is within 6 inches of one or more synapse units from your army, subtract 1 from that test. It seems like this is the same. You can unleash the Shadows and the Warp. When you do so, each enemy unit on the battlefield must take a battle shock test. Yeah, I think this is the same. For the most part, I think this is the same. If your army faction is Tyranids, while Tyranid unit from armies within 6 each time the unit takes a battle shock test, 3d6 instead of 2d6. Okay, that's the same. Each time they make a melee attack, add 1 to the strength characteristic. So pointing out it's melee attack only. It's not melee and shooting. If it was melee and shooting, it'd be way different. Simulation Swarm Detachment. Feed the Swarm Detachment roll. In your command phase, each Harvester unit from your army can regenerate 1 friendly Tyranid unit that is within 6 inches of it. A unit can only be regenerated once per phase. Each unit, 1 model in that unit gains D3+1s. Okay, so that's the same. Man, GW, I love they're like, yo, the changes are in red, but there's like no changes anywhere. But there are changes in here hidden, but it's like hard to find. Okay, I haven't played this detachment specifically. Down there, Crusher Stampede. Each time a Tyranid monster model from your army makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If that model's unit is below its starting strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. If that model's unit below its half strength. In addition, while Tyranid monster unit from your army is at its starting strength, add 2 to the objective control models in that unit. Okay, seems cool. Synaptic Nexus. I wanted to see, so there's no change to. Okay, so hypersensory target selection is 9 to 8 inches. We expected that. Unending Swarm. Neuro Node enhancement. After both players deploy their armies, you can select up 3 Vanguard or Invader units from your army, redeploy those units. Doing so, okay, so that's already been changed. Biovore is changed from 9 to 8. Okay, this is what I really wanted to see. Trigon Subterranean Tunnels ability. In your move phase, while this model is set up on the battlefield using your Deep Strike ability, can use a subterranean tunnel. If it does, this model can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 6 inches horn from all enemies, but until the end of the turn, it is not eligible to declare a charge. Oh, Trigon Subterranean. So it looks like here, unfortunately, we're still needing 7-inch charges out of tunnels. That is a big bummer. I'm not gonna lie. Broodlord, Parasite, add faction, Shadow in the Warp, add Synapse, Carnifexes. Surge move, okay. Exocrine, range about. Oh, dang, man. Exocrine goes down to strength 9. Wasn't Exocrine already strength? Wait, let's double check. Wasn't. All right, so if we go to Tyranids. Or is that like a retroactive change? Like this was previous, because I know the Maliceptor is strength 10, right? So it's okay, so that's the same. Hive Tyrant, Assault Lethals. Once per battle round. Okay, so that's changed. Moloch, Raveners, Trigon keyword section, add Vanguard Invader. Neurolictor gets Synapse. Psychophage, Swarm Lord. Okay, so this is like the new, what is it? The Vect Aura. So once per turn, when your opponent targets a unit from their army within 12 inches of this model of the stratagem, you can use this ability. If you do, increase CP because of that use of that stratagem by 1 CP. Oh, interesting. Once per turn. Okay, yeah. So it's not like a blanket 12 inches. Like you just do it. Just once per turn. Okay, so far, Big bummer on Subterranean, I think, overall. The fact that it's 3 detachment points and the fact that you can't, like, charging out of tunnels is going to be 7 inches now, pending any, like, FAQ maybe next week. Seems like a big old nerf to the Subterranean, which is kind of unfortunate. We will have to see. And then I think the FAQs are basically, I think, the same. And then we have legends here at the bottom. Okay. So overall in the Tyranids, I mean, I will say very, very excited about playing this combination here. The Vanguard Onslaught with the Ambush Predators seems really fun, and I was playing Disruption and Reconnaissance, so I pegged that exactly right as far as what I thought they would be. I think as far as the build that we land on is going to be a little interesting. I'll have to see. Subterranean, I still think is going to be strong. I think the bummer is if it stays at 7-inch charges, do you go more into a shooting type build with Subterranean, which, you know, we will have to wait and see. There also might be an interesting reason to do Vanguard Onslaught with the new Norn detachment. The reason being is because the Norns, you still have the ability to pick up down in Vanguard one Tyranid infantry unit. So maybe that could be good because you have the ability to reposition them in Vanguard. It's kind of, I was really hoping we could combine Subterranean potentially with the Norn detachment. I was like really excited to try that out, but it looks like that is not going to be possible. And then Evasion Fleet, as normal, is 3 detachment points. And I think, like Necrons, Tyranids might be in a similar boat with Invasion being the front runner. There could be interesting combinations as well with Crusher Stampede, because if we go back to let's see, if we go back to the list here and we look at, like, if we combine Crusher Stampede with the new Norn detachment, could be interesting with the plus strength. So they're getting +1 to hit, but the problem is the only way to get the +1 to hit is if they're below the starting strength. So that's not, like, you know, it's tough to, like, trigger these abilities. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It's kind of tough to say on that one. But I think, okay, if I were to say what I'm most excited for Tyranid wise to try out as far as, like, top 3, I would say first one would definitely be Vanguard Onslaught and Ambush Predators. I think that is the front runner for, like, the biggest jank army you could play for Tyranids. I think the next one would still probably be Subterranean, but you're going to have to revolve around some sort of more shooting build. I think Hive Guard with Tyranids get a lot more interesting, I think, now, especially in Subterranean, because you have the strat for Sus 1 and Ignore Cover. So that strat now essentially in 11th edition is +2 to hit, and they get the benefit of the AP1 flat 3 damage gun. So now all of a sudden you could drop them out of a tunnel, 12 attacks, still hitting on 3s with Sus 1, and you are getting rear ones to hit, and then they're anti-vehicle 2 up. Because if we all know, playing Tyranids, the one thing they struggle at killing is durable things, and especially vehicles. So if you have something, and they're tanky, they're chonky, they're infantry, so, you know, they're going to be -1 to hit now. They're T7, 4 wounds. I think Hive Guard as a package in 11th edition, I think, is going to be very strong. I would not sleep on this unit. I think, specifically in Subterranean, I think they're good. I think kitting them out with, like, running 1 unit of Hive Guard, 1 unit of Zoanthropes with the Neurotyrant, I think is, I don't want to say it's going to be mandatory, but I think with the 7-inch charging out of tunnels now, if they don't change it, that is like thematically, it kind of changes the whole idea of the detachment. Like you want to play it because you want to bring out these cool monsters out of tunnels and charge, right? So I think that would be the second one I'm most excited about. And then what would I combine with this Norn detachment is the thing. Like maybe there's something, I don't know. I feel like the only other one you would do is like Vanguard Onslaught, or the only thing I could think of is like, is this the first time where combining all three of these might make sense, actually, in some weird way with Tyranids? I think with all three of these 1-pointers, I think there could be some legs there with how these function, because you have the action stuff with the Lictors and the react moves and the lone op and everything else. And then you have the durability of the Norns to go out and go do your damage, hold your points, etc. And then you have some interesting combinations with running Hormagaunts with Lash Whip, Prime, all that stuff in here. And they have a 5-up invul, and you have like more durability. So this, I don't know, this could be good too, honestly. I think combining that would, I think, be my top 3. I think it would be without playing Invasion, it would be Vanguard and the Lictor Detachment. Combining all 3 of these 1-pointers, I think could be very interesting. And doing Subterranean. That'd be my 3. So let me see in the chat here. All right, so going back here, bringing it back to the chat. We are, let's see, we've been streaming for 1 hour and 45 minutes. I knew it was going to be long. To the 150 of you that are still in here, yo, appreciate you being here. Now is the time we open up the floor, okay? I am doing what I promised. I am fully all eyes on you guys. All eyes on you guys in the chat. Start dropping your questions. Let's go. Necrons, Tyranids, let's do it. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because it's been sitting here. Feel free to grab another beverage, drink some food. I'm going to be hanging out here for at least another 40 minutes, and let me know what you want to see. So, and if you guys are new here, first time seeing a PNW 40K stream, appreciate you hanging out, appreciate you watching, and very excited for 11th edition, as all of you guys are. And man, I can't wait. So let me end this poll here, and let's do a poll. Let's do a poll for the Tyranids, baby. Let's do a poll for the Tyranids. All right. Start a poll. Let's see. What do I want to ask you guys? I'll just say, are you happy with the Tyranid updates? Tyranid updates. All right. Cool. Real cool. All right, drop your questions. I'm here to hang out. Here to hang out for a little bit with y'all. Appreciate the support, and appreciate you. I know for all you OG Necron players out there, appreciate you still hanging out for me going over the Tyranid stuff. Very excited to be playing them in 11th edition as well, and giving you guys 2 different perspectives as far as play styles and all of that good stuff. So. Yeah, most people are indifferent with Tyranids. Interested with the Tyranids. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. With looking at Necrons and Tyranids, pros and cons to both. Star Shatter, not surprised. It's 3 detachment points, but big bummer. It's priority assets, guys. Big bummer. I might have to look at those missions more and think if there's something that I can draw up as far as like list design that makes sense. But on initial read, that is a big bummer on that. I will say as well, I mean, is it possible? I mean, is it possible we just run Pantheon of Woe with Pharaon's Armory? I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing. I want to know if you think Canoptic Core being 3DP makes sense or it should have been 2. I'm really shocked that it was actually 3 detachment points, because based on their philosophy of like, hey, if you have a detachment that is targeting specific units, it's less detachment points. This is targeting Canoptic and Cryptek, so why is it 3 detachment points? I mean, I understand if they're, I think maybe they're being abundantly cautious potentially about combos, because, you know, maybe there was something that they play tested that just seemed absolutely cracked, combining it with like with Pharaon's Armory or the new what is it, the Hand of the Dynasty. So that would be my guess of why it's 3 detachment points. So I'm not as high on that combo. I think as far as what I'm most excited to play right now, and what do I think the most strongest combos are for Necrons going into 11th? Unfortunately, Awakened is still going to be the front runner. I think fundamentally how 11th plays, it is going to be crazy strong. The next pairings would be Cursed Legion with Pharaon's Armory. And then I think Hypercrypt with Hand of the Dynasty. Okay. I think is going to be the front runners. Yeah, I know. That was crazy. Yeah, because what's his face? Josh misspoke during that stream. It's like, oh yeah, if I wanted to combine Canoptic with this, and it's like, well, we can't, man. We can't. And honestly, the thing is like Canoptic, like as a take and hold detachment, I guess yes, that does make sense because with the detachment. But I feel like Awaken's just going to do it better. Let's see. So Cursed Legion in hand, you can run Immortals to come up the mid board and objections while using your Locust. Heavy Destroyers to purge and proc the bonus for the Immortals. Yeah, you could. The Cursed Legion is just very strong with that strat, guys. Like that reactive -1 to hit strat is so freaking good in 11th edition, guys. I'm telling you right now, it is so good. So good. You know, if Walter was here, the great Walter, we might have to get him back on eventually. But you know, I know, you know, we're gonna have to send that man a care package, because, you know, if there was anybody that loved Psychomancers, it was that man. All right, and I don't think he's gonna be running Psychomancers as much anymore, because there's essentially a 70-point tax on playing that unit. So yeah, I mean, it's just the other thing. Okay, here's the other thing about Psychomancers. Okay, let's say hypothetically they warrant support. Okay, let's just say continue as normal. The problem with Psychomancers is it was 18-inch range, and so with the 11th edition layouts, if you are in your deployment zone, the 18 inches a lot of times is not going to cover the other side of that center, of that terrain area in the center. So really the only benefit you're getting for the Battle Shock is on your natural, and it's relatively easy to hold now in 11th edition for the layout. So I don't know if the Psychomancer play pattern is really going to be as good in 11th edition, because the big value you got out of it was Battle Shocking the center, right? So I had a question about the race. Not sure if it was covered here yet, not, but in the faction pack it mentioned that Technomancer loses the leader keyword. Oh, that's not good. Well, let's pull this up. See, this is why we have these live streams, because we got to figure this out as a community. I'm not saying I know everything. I just know a bit. Where, wait, where's the Technomancer? Technomancer's not in here. Because these are all the ones that were added after. Is it in the rules? Oh no. Okay, so Star Shadow will be king in my opinion because the whole ruins rules. DDA just sitting there and reacting back. Heavy roll bid theory. Okay, so it loses leader but gains support, so it can still be attached to other units, just can't be by itself. Yeah, so I believe, I don't know if have they specified in the core rules like how the leaders attach? Because can you have just a support? Can you have just a support unit and not a leader in there? Or do you have to add a leader and then add a support unit? Maybe somebody clarify this in the chat. Or if they've, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet. Maybe they have on a stream or something. But I feel like I remember them saying you could have like a leader. Like in order to have like two characters, you have to have a leader and a support, or you could just have one or the other. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, that would mean that the Technomancer could no longer attach to the race, which would be pretty big, honestly. But yeah, correct me in the chat here if that's the case. Okay. All right, that's good. All right, good to know. So you can have support in there and join us later. All right, we're good. Panic attack averted. All right, we're fine. We're chilling. We're good. Okay. The yeah, the hyper phasing, so yeah, I'm gonna have to think about what I would run with Hypercrypt with the new warrior detachment is very interesting. Because I also think moving Catan around the table now with Hypercrypt is also extremely powerful, because now you're deep striking 8 inches away instead of 9, and those terrain areas are so wide. So now it gives you the flexibility to just potentially drop these Catan down within a terrain area and then still be able to shoot. And maybe YOLO a charge, like really good. I mean, you could even drop down 2 of them in like one spot and then just try to keep rolling 9s, right? And see if you get it. But yeah, that seems super interesting. Super interesting. But maybe while I'm waiting for some questions to drop into the chat, let me just sell you guys on the Cursed Legion train if you guys even need to be sold on it. But I mean, this is just, let me look at Pantheon of Woe for a second. This might also be good as well, because the +1 EP, this combined with like Pharaon's Armory or the new this combined with the new Warrior Immortal detachment could also be crazy strong as well. Just because now you have the Transcendent that can drop in 6 inches away. It might be updated to 5, who knows, because they didn't really update any of this yet, which is kind of weird. And then you still have the Vect with... Oh, so they did update it here, which is interesting. Once per turn when your opponent targets a unit from their army. So it's interesting. So they did update the stuff in here because this is the new vectability. GW, man. We just needed these changes in red, okay? It would make it much easier to figure out what we're doing and what we're not doing. So they did update this here. Nightbringer can still advance and charge. And Void Dragon has... Yeah, it must take a leadership test. So really good. Till the phase each model. Yeah, subtract 1 from the root roll. So this is really good. Yeah, this is all updated really good. So I think this combining with the new warrior detachment could also be very strong, because the one downside that Pharaon's Armory had was like a lot of bodies like auto-seeing points. But now all of a sudden, if you have, 10-man warrior units running around and 5-man immortals just going around being annoying and sticking objectives, then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is getting a lot more interesting as far as like how do I combat this? Like, okay. I thought of something. Hold on. Okay, this is why you guys are here. Let's take Pharaon's Army for a second. So I'm kind of cooking with something here. Okay. All right. Let's go to Hand of the Dynasty. So the one thing in 11th edition is all of the missions really revolve in some form or way holding your natural expansion. Okay. And usually it is a lot of points. It will vary between 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, but it is a good amount of points. So in general, when you are trying to develop a game plan in list design, if you can, it's maybe a good idea to try to figure out something where you can have something that can harass your opponent's objective or natural expansion, okay? So one interesting thing here, maybe I spoke too soon, okay? Because if I look at this further, in lived Sentinels, okay, Necron warrior units only have the Scout 5 move. So if I take 10 warriors, which are 90 points, and I put a Chronomancer in there, okay? And I scout them up, and I put them within like a train feature, kind of near my opponent's natural expansion, or like in that direction, okay? So essentially these warriors are going to be -2 to hit. Very annoying, okay? Then in my turn, I potentially could move them and then Fire and Fade potentially get on an objective and deny the point, going a total of 15 inches. Or maybe that's long enough to get to their natural expansion and deny it, which is somewhat interesting. Maybe maybe you might have to have an Overlord in there. And at that point, I think it might be too expensive, I think, at that point. But 90 points plus, what, 65? 65 for a Chronomancer. 150 points to do that? It's probably too expensive. Never mind, I don't like it. The reason why I don't like it is because it's too many points that doesn't really do any damage. It provides like some utility. But I'm telling you guys, in 11th edition, whether you're a Necron player or not, it is going to be hard to move block. The strategy of like putting stuff on points and just denying your opponent is just not going to work anymore, because good opponents, they are going to line the objective 6 inches and say, if you want to interact with this objective, you can, but you have to charge me. Otherwise, I'm going to charge you and I'm going to kill you. And then what a really, really good player is going to do, and you'll see this all over the place at the start of 11th edition, is they are going to put a cheap trash unit behind a wall, -1 hit, can't see me, yada, yada, yada. And they're going to put some like big, beefy thing like right next to it. And they're like, well, if you want to charge me, you can do that, but I'm a heroic. And if you don't want to charge me, then I'm going to charge you with my big, beefy thing and then still hold the objective. So it's like, It's like the ultimate puzzle to solve, right? But good news is pretty much every army can set something up like that. Okay, but I think that is going to be a very strong, I think, play pattern you're going to see at the start of 11th edition to really kind of lock in those early points. But this one is very interesting combined with Pharaon's Armory. I will say, I will say. So especially because both of these are upgrades. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, even I don't know if like all three of these could be combined in like the Tyranid one. I think all three of those detachments could be combined into one like really cool one. I don't know if Necrons can really do that. These, I mean, yeah, I just really don't like this Sky Shroud Spearhead. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. This I've wanted like forever is a Silver Tide one, and all of this is good. If you guys are just coming into the stream, all of these strats are good. All extremely useful. If I were to say what is the strongest one, it's probably this one I like the most. It's like the most keeps your opponent guessing, where they're like, I don't know if you're going to have like 2 OC on this objective, 12 OC. Like they have to play around it, right? That's what makes it so powerful. It's like, it's always the stuff that's like, well, I could do this, but I don't have to, right? So very good. Let me go back to the chat here. Man, Tyranids split right down the middle. 50-50. Crazy. That's crazy. Let me check on the chat here. So Overlord versus Translocation, Overlord versus Railroad. Translocation, Overlord pretty much all day, every day. Okay? Run that guy. Overlord's also really good too, but if you're running Cursed Legion, that unit moving 13 inches and still charging, amazing. It's so addicting. It's so addicting. I thought we almost lost another tank brick, like our Lich Guard with Technos got removed from them. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, who knows? They might change the keywording on Lich Guard where it's like the Techno could go in there again, but probably not. Solo Geomancer looks like a fine tech for such openness, area, and deployment. No 20 Warrior Blobs as well. Yeah, 20 Warriors are pretty much dead, I think. Geomancer's fine. It's just like just run Ophidians and Death Marks, like honestly, or Scarabs. They basically just do the same thing. And then they're less points. Scarabs, I think, are going to be goated in 11th edition. The change to going through walls, they moved 10. Yeah, I'm very high on Scarabs. I'm obviously going to be doing a tier list next week when the points drop, so I'll be looking around for that and my initial thoughts. But Scarabs, good. Very good. Let's see. Every time I try to put Awakened Dynasty down, it tells me to pick it up anyway. I know, man. I know. I hate it. I hate it. But the rule set is just so freaking good. I will say, hey, at least for all the non-Necron Warriors players out there, you guys can rest assured that I think Warriors are dead. Big Warrior bricks are dead. I think based on the initial games that I've played of 11th edition so far, but hey, clip it. I could eat my words later, you know, but I think there's just going to be better options. I think with Cleave and all this other stuff in the meta and not being able, I mean, there's so many reasons why. Like you have to keep them all together. You can't limit the surface area of where the units can hit. Like it's just like way too much of a liability. I'd rather just run Immortals for sure. Definitely all about that Test Revolt and Failings play now. 6-inch movement volt with -1 damage and +1 AP is just chef's kiss. I know. I do got a Tesseract Vault. It's not painted yet, but I could paint it before Tacoma. Okay? I could paint it before Tacoma. If you guys are going over to Tacoma Open in July, hopefully we'll see some of you guys out there for the first super major of 11th edition. Very hyped. No idea what I want to bring yet. Obviously it'll be Necrons. I want to have my Tyranids painted in time, but yeah, but don't know what I want to play yet. But let's see. Pantheon of Woe would be playable again with one of the new detachments. Yeah, I think depending on how much the points go up on the Catan, I think at least it is interesting. Because plus 1 AP, because if you look like, the reason why it's very interesting is because of the ignore cover change. Because in 10th edition, we're so used to everything being minus 1 AP. And now with the changes, I mean, you have to think about it like with Pantheon of Woe, like everything is plus 2 AP. So now the freaking Void Dragon, guys, is like, I mean, it's crazy. So, and I will say, let's see. So the Deceiver, I will say it probably most of the Catan are going to be like 400 points though in Pharaon or in Pantheon of Woe. So, but if you still slammed, like if you still slammed the Deceiver, Nightbringer, and Void Dragon for 1,200 points, and then you had 800 points left to run like a bunch of trash in the Hand of the Dynasty, I don't think that would be bad based on the games I've played in 11 so far. I don't think that would be bad. Because your ability to have so much cheap, durable OC is very powerful. Because with this strat right here, you could like the one issue that Pantheon of Woe had was like if you're running into like mass infantry or something, right? Like Recon Guard or Orcs, right? And they're like, yeah, dude, I got 10 OC on here, right? It forced the agency early of like, well, crap, the only way I'm going to be able to go get those guys, I gotta send out my Catan. But if you have the ability to stall the game, right, where I don't have to show you my, what I call like my queen pieces, like in chess, and that's my Catan. Queen pieces I refer to as like, what are the main units that my opponent wants to get off the board that disrupt their game plan? And a lot of times it's the units that do the most damage. They're the most threatening, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're still playing Warhammer. You still have to kill units, okay? So if you're running a list with those 3 Catan, and then you're spamming like a bunch of these annoying, like, I mean, literally, Immortals are going to go up to 3 OC. So you're telling your opponent, like, hey, I can go on, advance my Immortals on here, and it's 15 OC for 70 points right now. Is extremely good. And they're very efficient for their points because it's 5 guys that now have Lone Op essentially 15 hidden, and they're going to be -1 to hit. And it's just 532 mils. So it's very hard to interact with because it's a very small footprint. And if you're just like, Necrons are, with this detachment, are probably one of the only armies in the game that have the ability to send out like 5 guys like that and just go deny a point and not care about it. And it's 70 points. It's like, cool, dude. All right, what else do you want to do? And basically what this is doing as far as a play pattern is it's stalling and forcing your opponent to come closer to then have your Catan all send out at once is what you really want to do. So I think there's some legs there. And and the fact that you can advance in action, right? So you can advance out the Immortals and still action and do all the good stuff. That seems great to me. Or just have even like Immortals with the Fire and Fade, right? Like on your home objective, like you go out, boom, and then go back. What is Pantheon of Woe? Is that Pantheon of Woe is Purge the Foe. And then Hand of the Dynasty. So Purge the Foe, we're taking hold. So it looks like pretty much for Tacoma, it looks like I'm going to be playing either Taking Hold or Purge, because that's pretty much all of them that I play. So there we go. I am going to be right back just because I have to go to the bathroom really bad. And I will be back in like 90 seconds because I have to wash my hands afterwards too. So I'll be back in like 90 seconds. So hold tight. All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, so let me change the. Hold on one sec. Let me adjust this. All right, that's there we go. That's a little better. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go to back to Necrons here, and let me. Okay, let me think about this for a second. So if we were to pull up, okay, Forge, create roster, Necrons, and then Necrons create. We'll do whoa. Okay. All right, so we are going to do Pantheon of Woe. And this, I don't know, guys. I feel like this could honestly be very interesting. Okay. So, characters, let's just assume that they're all going up like 30 to 40 points because I feel like at least that is what's needed. Epic Hero, Nightbringer, Deceiver, Void Dragon. Okay. So now we're going to say we have like, I don't know, like 400 points or 800 points left to, because I feel like this is going to be like around like 1,200 points would be my guess. So, I mean, like what if we just put this in? I mean, you could just, like, I'm just like hypotheticals here. I mean, and this is like your damage, and then you still run. I have been really liking Ophidians in this edition, just because screening your backfield is really important. I think 1 unit of Death Marks, you might even run 2 units of Ophidians also in this build, just because you are needing to do secondaries, right? So this stuff is going to be tied up doing stuff. And this is like, in my initial testing, is a very strong backfield positioning when you're looking to push, because I think a lot of newer players going into 11th edition are going to struggle finding the balance of like, I know I need to push a lot of resources forward in order to get points. A lot of these missions, a lot of the secondaries force you to go forward, which I think is good. Like it forces you not to just sit there, right? You gotta interact with the other side of the table. You have to interact with the other side of your opponent's territory if you want to score points. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you killed. It all matters if I got 1 more point than my opponent. Okay. So this I have found so far, or like a unit of scarabs, is very strong of screening your backfield. So far, all right. So right now we're at 1755. I don't even know if I need 6 units of this, but I'm just showing you like this is, I mean, just kind of crazy like what you could do here. And then swarms, I would probably run like, let's just see what 2 scarabs looks like. So we're at 18. So I can get up to like 1,900 points. Cause I'm assuming like I'm playing like 100 points under, I think right now would be realistic. And what else does this list need? Probably, I mean, maybe not as many immortals. Maybe you have like one or 2, like, I'm trying to think. Does it make sense? Let me scoot this over. Does it make sense to have like 1 super unit for immortals? Probably not, because you get what? You get the crit 5s, and Pantheon of Woe, it's just Um, let's see. Detachment. One enemy is. Oh, okay. So it would improve all the AP. So that would synergize with the Immortals a little bit. So if you were running the Gauze, then they would go up to AP2 if they're within 6, which is that's not bad. So Pantheon does synergize with this pretty well, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Looking at this even a little bit further. So the Immortals potentially could benefit from the plus AP. I'm trying to think. I think probably what I do here is I am going to remove a couple of these. And what if we put in a unit of just 3 race? If you guys have been seeing my recent battle reports, I have been loving a unit of just 3 race. The reason why is because they got buffed. They are -1 to hit because they're going to be obscured, and they're very durable for their points. It's a 12 win package that's 3 up, 4 up invul, and it's 4 OC. So what these guys do differently than Immortals is if your opponent has something that can relatively get rid of Immortals easily, like good chaff fire, it's not the same profile that's going to go into race well. Okay. So the reason why I love the race is a lot of times what it takes to kill the race is the same type of profile that usually they're wanting to use on Catan. So it forces a more immediate response from your opponent of how do they want to interact with this, which I really do like. So maybe we just start with like just 3 5-mans of Immortals, I think is good. Especially for Take and Hold, because Take and Hold, if you guys watch like my video from last night, if you haven't yet, go check that out. But it involves a lot of times just like holding your triangle, right? So you're holding your natural expansion, and then you're just sending guys out to go hold the center again. Okay, so very good. This might even be good because there's a lot of ones where you run the Transcendent as well, because he can drop in 6 inches. So getting that bonus of like holding your opponent's home objective might be good towards the end with the Transcendent, because the terrain areas are so wide, so it's harder to screen that out. So let's just say if we made like 1 super unit, I think you always run the Gauze on these guys as well. In this attachment, because you need the damage. So I personally wouldn't run the Tesla in this. I would run the Gauze. And then it's nice because if you have them blitz up, they're going to be AP 2 if they're within a unit that's unraveling, which is really good. So we're at 18-15. So we have like essentially 80 points left where we could... I don't know what else synergizes more. I mean, do we just be more annoying with like action stuff? Like, do we just bring like 1 more? I guess we don't have a Cryptek though, and we do need a Warlord. So, I probably put in. Let me see what the chat's saying. Let's see. We need to talk about the not to mention we need to talk about the Chronomancer, Geomancer, Oricon, Plasmamancer, Detachment not being leaders anymore. They're support now. Yeah, no, I mean the Psychomancer being support, I think is probably the biggest call out. Yeah, it's not not ideal, but not a deal breaker per se. Yeah, if we're running the command barge in this, would actually be crazy, because then you're getting 4 OC Immortals, which is pretty nuts. You really think Catans are gonna go up with Defilers kicking them to the mud? I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I think Defilers, see, the thing is Defilers aren't going to get, yeah, they don't get the Overwatch anymore. And I did play a tournament. I ran an Awaken list about like 2 months ago now, where it was like 4 Catan with Illuminor, Necrosaur, and Awakened. And I ended up killing all of his Defilers, and I didn't lose a single Catan. So it really comes down to positioning. I still didn't win that game, unfortunately. He ended up going on to win the golden ticket. So very happy for him, and he was just a great opponent. But at the end of the day, you're playing a 4-up invul game, right? So, and I mean that's Catan. Like, it's just one of those things where, you know, your opponent hands you 6 las cannon saves, and you save like 5 or 6 of those. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a god. But you know, you make 1 out of 6, and then you're having a very different conversation, right? That's kind of what you're signing up for with Catan. So adding Illuminor for the extra P in defense. Not. I think I could get behind that. Okay, if we wanted to put in Illuminor, we don't want to put in Illuminor. The problem is Illuminor doesn't really do any damage. But what I will say... Where is Illuminor? Oh, he's an epic character. Illuminor's theirs. He can be your warlord, though, right? Yeah. Just Catan that can, I think. Okay. So this is 1980, which I already know is like not going to work, because the Catan are going to go up in points. So we could drop a unit of Scarabs. And the thing is all I'm looking for is like, what's nice about Illuminor Xeris in this is, yes, it does benefit from the Immortals, but this is a good like call out when we're talking about list design is like, what is Illuminor Xeris's role here? And it's like, yes, you are getting good synergy with the -1 AP and +1 AP on the Immortals weapons. So the Immortals could go up to AP 3, which is pretty good. The only bummer is that they're still probably going to be hitting on 4s against a lot of stuff. They are getting the rerolled 1 or the full rerolls to wound potentially on terrain areas, but there's no +1 to hit in this detachment. So it's one of those things where I don't think it's a good idea if you're trying to pair Pantheon with the Hand of the Dynasty, like trying to make the Immortals do damage, because that's not what they're trying to do. Like, their role is just to be like super annoying for your opponent. So it's like, am I really getting a lot of value? I mean, yes, it does synergize with like giving them the -1 AP, but I don't dislike it. I think it could be strong with like, if you run out the Immortals turn 1, like onto the center, and you're like, yeah, here's like 9 OC on the center that you can't even like see or interact with, and you string the others out, and then you have Xeris even behind that. So he still has Lona, but he also threatens like a heroic for the center. And it creates like a very annoying situation for your opponent, because essentially they're, you know, -1 to hit. So you could like, I think another, I think even a more interesting one is like just running a Chronomancer. Because he also synergizes with the Scarabs. So if you run a Chronomancer, and you either so because the Chronomancer I feel like is just going to be so good in 11th edition if he keeps the -1 to hit. So it's like, now Immortals in cover are -2 to hit. Very annoying to deal with, and they're -1 AP, all of that stuff. So there could be a combo, and I'm trying to think, because you could do, do you do like, what if you did what if 2-up save, because they're, let's see, yeah, they're moving 5, T5, 3-up save, -2 to hit, OC2, can make him OC3. You could go up, sticky the objective, end of your movement phase. A lot of times you don't even have to, like, it's cool to be able to use this sticky thing, but a lot of times I think you don't have to, because your opponent's going to be more stressed about trying to get your opponent's or your immortals off your natural expansion. Well, let me check the chat here. That means we will be able to bring back the phrase so alive. Curse Legion Cryptide can join the Pantheon is dead, I think. Throw in some Tomb Crawlers and ignore modifiers. I mean, Pantheon might be dead, but it might not be with Hand of the Dynasty, honestly, because it does shore up a problem. I think it's interesting enough to test, because all we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a ton of testing. So I think something like this, and maybe you run, I think to shore it up, you probably just run maybe like a unit of flayed ones, because you have the repositioning strat. So you get the value of denying their infiltrators if you win the roll off, and then you could reposition them to safety. I don't think is a bad play here. And this comes out right around 1900, because I'm assuming if you're running 3 Catan, this is probably at least going to go up like 100 points would be my guess. So factoring that in, I think this is interesting, because it gives you play where, depending on the matchup, you could sending out 10 immortals to the center turn 1 that can still action and be -2 to hit and potentially OC3 is very interesting. And it is a decent amount of points. I mean, it is like, what, 215 points right now? But I don't know. They're going to get rapid fire. They'll do some damage. So you're going to have like, what, 20 shots plus another 10. So you'll have 30 shots with that unit. Full rerolls to wound. Potentially could be AP2 if you're next to a unit with Unraveling. If you wanted to run Xeris, be AP3. I think it's interesting. I would want to try this out. I don't know if it's good, but I would want to try it out. I think it's interesting. But you know me, I think I'm the most high on Curse Legion and Pharaon's Army. It's just a freaking blast to play, especially with the new Tesseract Vault change. This is probably the strongest addition out of all the rules that we got, was giving this +1 AP, because you can see here that the Tesseract Vault is going to have 24 shots at +2. And it's Titanic, so it'll still probably maintain hitting on 3s. So all of a sudden you have a profile that's strength 7, which is huge. Great breakpoint, because there's a lot of T6, T5, T4 elite infantry in the game that now can go to AP1. So this thing is legit starting to do damage now. And then you have the Flamer and the Meteor. The indirect is not, I think a lot of the things were pointed for the indirect, and because the indirect nerf here makes this way less effective. It's one of those things that, I mean, it's still a good gun, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I think combining Pharaon's Army with Phalanx is interesting. So I have to see it on the table. I just think the damage is still just going to be so high if you're running to run like multiple Tesseract Vaults, or like a Tesseract Vault and a Monolith, where I think you're just going to probably run into some problems. But I will say that if Stalkers end up staying relatively the same amount of points at 110, and you're telling me that they can go up to an objective, you can spend a CP to make them OC7, and then they're -1 damage, -1 to hit, and then they're 3-up save, 4-up invul. That is also a very annoying package for your opponent to deal with turn 1. So like stalkers would be running 3 stalkers in that. If you're running phalanx with Pharaon's Armory, I think would be amazing. Because is obeisance phalanx? What detachment is that? Is that oh, it's disruption. Okay, I do like disruption as well, so that could be cool. If you run phalanx with Pharaons, I think that could be very interesting. Yeah, I think I would start probably with like 1 Tesseract Bolt. I mean, maybe you run 2 if you have to. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. 2 Tesseract Bolts. 2 Tesseract Bolts, 3 Stalkers. And then you probably still run the Silent King. So that's like what? Like, that's 1,200 points, like 1,600 points-ish, somewhere around there. And then trash. But the problem is, like, the only anti-tank you have in that build is the King. That's above, like, strength 10. So I feel like you can only have 1 Tesseract Volt. So you have, like, 1 Tesseract Volt. You have the King. You run, like, 3 Stalkers. Yeah. But, I mean... The Tesseract Volt getting -1 to hit. So -1 to hit, 4 up invul. T12. And so last cannon's wounding on 4s is big, but I feel like there's just so much damage in the meta that it's not going to work, I think, as well as we might hope. But hey, I would love to be proved wrong. I'd love to be proved wrong. Let me see here. I think other than that, so I mean, the 130 of you that are still here, seriously appreciate you watching. I'm probably gonna hang out here for another 5 minutes or so, and then get back to real life. I think I'm gonna have a matchup with Tau pretty soon on the channel pretty soon, so be looking out for that. I really want to see what they can do in 11th edition because I think they're going to be the new boogeyman. I mean, they're already extremely good in 10th right now, and just the ability to just toe into objectives and just start blasting seems crazy strong. But let me get your last minute questions in, and we will call it here until next week, where we'll do another live stream talking about the points. Talking about the points. Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. It's been great hanging out with y'all. Seriously, really appreciate you guys hanging out. It is wild for how many of you that have been in here. I think there was like over 100 of you already like in the lobby before I even like went live. So just really appreciate the support, guys. It does mean a lot. If you played Pharaons plus Woe, you could get the Tesla Flares AP2. Yeah, you could. You could. Yeah, I mean, that's not terrible. Yeah, you could run 3 Catan, and then the Tesseract Volts, that's probably gonna be around like 1,600 points with points increases, and then 400 points left for trash. So what vehicle is viable using Curse Legion in the new Pharaons? Run the Monolith. Just run 1 Monolith and the Locust Destroyer combo. It is so much fun. I will say it is a little bit tricky with the Locust Destroyers because you do have to make sure that they are connecting with something on a terrain area, and a terrain area and their closest eligible to get the reroll hits. Okay, so that's like the biggest thing. But I think the key with that build is you do need to like stall the game out before you can really hit them with everything is the biggest thing. Yes, absolutely. Yes, there is room for a Monolith in Cursed Legion. Go look at it's a video on the channel posted last week. Go check it out. You're already a member as well. Seriously appreciate the support. And yeah, Monolith Cursed Legion. It is it's not a meme. It's actually good because the monolith is moving 14 inches. Okay. So you have a monolith that moves 14 inches, can either action and shoot, or shoot and charge and tank shock with 13 dice. And then you're telling me it can also dump out 6 Locust Destroyers with a Plasmancer that are going to have, if you position it correctly, 18 shots, full hit rerolls, crit 5s, lethal sustained, 7/2/2. It's very good. It is very good. You could also run the that's what I'm like. I do want to test more. Is it better? Like, what comes out of the monolith? Because you could also run warriors in there. It kind of depends, I think, on like what you need. So it's like you could run 20 warriors out of that thing, which you're gonna get, you know, AP1 lethal sustained because they're coming out, crit 5s with the Plasmancer, which is also interesting, but it's only 12-inch range, and I feel like the Locust Destroyers are such a good profile, because if you can have high volume like that, that's AP2, that is like one of the best profiles in the game right now, because basically you're putting every unit in the game on their invul and you're giving it at high volume, which is very strong. And the fact that it's lethal sustained. Okay. So if you set it up correctly, and the thing is, it's pretty easy. The biggest thing with the Locust Brick of why I didn't like it before Pharaon's Armory is it was massive and it was very hard to position it in a way where you're going to get the ability that they have. But now, if you're telling me that they can basically drop in like 20 inches anywhere outside of engagement range, you don't have to worry about those 2 caveats anyway. So it becomes significantly easier to deliver that damage. If that makes sense. So, and then let's see here. Does the model change the ingress move? No longer lets you place stuff within age of enemy models. No, I don't think so. Let me just answer these last bit of questions and then, yeah, because I think the change down here of what you're asking, crap, where is it? Right here. Okay. In your movement phase, excluding the first battle round, that unit can make an ingress move and must be set up wholly within 6 inches of this unit and not engage with any enemy units. That unit cannot make a charge move this turn. So there's no qualifier there in this ability, so I would say no. Wait, how does lethal and sustain work just by themselves? Is the monolith plus Sunken going to be good together? So Crispy Chicken, if you're new here, so lethal and sustain work. Lethal is any critical 6 is an automatic wound. So when I roll my hit roll, any 6s that I get are going to be an automatic wound, and I don't need to like roll that dice for the wound. And then sustained is essentially any critical 6, I'm going to get an extra dice to roll for the wound roll. So when you have those 2 abilities combined together, it's very strong. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Gladstone. Yeah, I pointed that out earlier. Yeah, I'm shocked. They didn't even change it. I'm like, what are we doing? So it's basically like a useless strat now. So who knows? Maybe it might change in an FAQ next week with the points update or like an MFM or something like that. We will have to see. But all in all, oh man, guys, appreciate you watching. Seriously, it's been a good time. And to recap, just to finish things off here, the top 3 combinations I would try. Okay. First up would be Cursed Legion and Pharaon's Armory. Second would be Hypercrypt and Hand of the Dynasty. And the third would be Pantheon of Woe and Hand of the Dynasty. All right? You heard it here first, okay? Outside of Awakened Dynasty, of course, because we know how that one's going to go. But all in all, seriously, appreciate y'all hanging out. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you watching. And be looking for another battle report later this week. And then I'm going to be out of town the rest of the week. And other than that, next week, going to be very excited. I will do another live when the points drop, which probably will be like next Wednesday or Thursday. And then we'll have the freaking 11th edition fully here. So excited to hang out with you guys next week and talk about points and have the full picture. But I'd say officially now we can start testing fully, since now we know dispositions and all the good stuff. And man, it's an exciting time. I'm just as excited as you guys are. So anyways, really appreciate you guys and support, and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great week, and we will see y'all next week. Peace.